Hello, friends, and welcome back. We are here today to discuss episode 1 of The Penguin. It is the new miniseries on HBO, or is it called Max now, I guess? So, excited to get into it. And here with Jarrod. Jarrod, will you give us an introduction, please?
Sure. I'm Jarrod. I run the Fantasy Thinker YouTube channel, and I am on page doing forums a lot, and a couple of podcasts on there here and there. So
a couple quickly turns into a few, right?
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, it does. So I guess to start off, what is your kind of, where are you with Batman in general? Are you a Batman fan? Are you a fan of his story, of his movies, comics? What are you, kind of, what's your background on Batman?
Yes, I am a fan. I am a fan of Batman. Seen all the movies. I've seen a lot of the various shows and stuff. I used to collect Detective Comics for quite a long time. The main comic book that Batman was featured in, and so I've read a lot of those. I wouldn't say I'm a fanatic, fan of Batman, especially in my older age, but I definitely keep up with the trends, and I I'm not going to be able to point out the Easter eggs as some of the people pointed out. Those are kind of specialized, and you really have to get into the nitty gritty for that kind of stuff. Super fan, whatever. But I like he is definitely one of my favorite superheroes, and one of the originals, and, so
it's kind of surprising to me how long that character has endured and how popular it still is, with it being so. I mean, Superman has his moments, but Batman seems to be pretty reliably popular through the years.
Yeah, it is. It is actually kind of strange, his staying power. His ability to stick around and resonate, and especially since a lot of stuff waxes and wanes, and and of course his character's been repurposed, I guess, for the ages. I've seen it quite a few times, and but there's something about it that draws people in, and it's kind of funny because he's a rich guy, and maybe it's the orphan quality that people latch onto, and that is his need for justice through that. But
could also be like the Robin Hood kind of background, because he doesn't have to be out there fighting crime. He can be hanging out and having parties and having fancy dinners, but he's out fighting crime and putting his life at risk when he doesn't really have to. So I guess there's that kind of a, paint it back, but
yeah. And that's the very draw he plays upon, that Bruce Wayne plays upon, They, like you said, he doesn't have to be out there doing that, but he's, as part of his persona, his public persona, he's doing the parties and doing all that stuff, and so that's it's I guess it's a marketing thing that's never going to go away in that respect.
Yeah, and I think equally as surprising as Batman staying relevant, at least I think he's had his down moments, but not really that down. But the movies kind of keep him fresh, even the last 30 years, ever since Michael Keaton's Batman. He's been pretty consistently popular, I would say. And I think his enemies and the villains in his universe, I think, are equally as popular. I mean, the Joker, even things like the Penguin, I think, so they're also a draw. His villains and his enemies. I think that's kind of why I think it's interesting that they decided to start the spin-offs off of the Batman with a Penguin show, which I'm glad they did, but I'm surprised they didn't go for like I guess they couldn't really go for the Joker with Joker doing his own thing right now in the movies with the second one coming. But yeah, so what do you think about the Penguin as the subject for the spinoff?
He's an interesting character because there has been so many goofier, I guess, iterations of him that I think this attempt here is one to kind of ground him in reality a little bit more, and give in a kind of a realistic world explanation for how he moves, how he looks, and we'll get into that when we discuss Colin Farrell's performance and stuff like that. But this, I think, I haven't seen this kind of in-depth look into the Penguin character where it didn't have that slight camp to it.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
yeah.
The last time we've really seen this guy, besides the comics, you know, the comics have done various things over the years, but as far as movies and TV goes, you know, of course, we all remember Danny DeVito from Tim Burton's run, and he was the perfect guy to bring that level of camp to the Penguin at the time, and he did it well, and but still, it wasn't. This show is gritty, and it's down and dirty. It's not. There's no twirling umbrella yet. There's no, you know. There's we're not there yet. You know, maybe we'll get there, but you can see it's focused more on the crime aspect, the mob type aspect of life, the Sopranos type, I guess, aspect of mob life. You know, rather than the glorified costume villain.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned Sopranos because it did. I mean, I think most gangster kind of that type of story just reminds us of, you know, Goodfellas, The Sopranos. I think it's a natural, you know, I think we all kind of go to that place. But I like that there's no Batman in it. No one talked about Batman, and he's not in the picture yet. I'm guessing eventually we'll have a cameo or something, maybe, or a mention.
That was one brief mention in the beginning.
Oh, there was.
Yeah. He the newscast.
Oh, that's right.
Mentioned him, and they showed a picture of some crisis he was dealing with or whatever.
Oh, yeah, from the Batman.
It was really quick, and that was it. Yeah.
I do like that, though. I like that it didn't focus on that, or he wasn't the boogeyman in the background. And it gave you the impression that Penguin isn't really a threat yet. He's not important enough to be on Batman's radar, which I like that we're starting at the beginning, and he's kind of a low level, you know, he's kind of a joke in some ways.
Yeah, he's a thug. He's just a thug. A thug with some ambition.
Yeah.
Yeah.
and a short temper.
Yeah, and I like how the show started off. It opens up with this like chaotic power struggle. There's an opening. There's the death of Carmine Falcone, and the news items were showing you various things that were going on, and there's also chaos within the family itself, and so I really like that kind of chaos when something momentous like that happens to a family, where somebody has that much control over their family and everything they're doing. That creates openings for opportunity for other a power vacuum, if you will, for other things to happen. Of course, we see that when the families gets together and they're kind of arguing with each other and stuff like that. And I don't know, I can't remember the names of all the players that were involved with the Falcone family. And of course, to get the what was the name of the woman there?
Sophia.
Sophia, yes. she's obviously the main character that we're concerned about at this point, but she's going to be in contention for power. Mm-hmm. And it looks like she may be too easily dismissed by the rest of her family. So that's going to be an interesting story.
Yeah, I think we jump into like I say, we jump into the situation where there's this power vacuum. People are vying for control and for, kind of positioning themselves. So it's a perfect time to start. So for a miniseries, it makes sense to start there where there's an opportunity. So we can, because I don't think you want to. I'm imagining they don't want to spend too much time with Penguin being like a low level thug. They want to start moving his story along and not have him kind of sit on the sidelines too long. Because, I'm guessing it'll take a while for his influence and power to build throughout the season.
Yeah, certainly. Yeah, he wants to, he has his task that he was set forth for him, what he had to manage. But he was immediately looking for ways to get more responsibility and, get a bigger piece of the pie. And with, of course, with the death of Carmine Falcone, he's approaching the different people to say, hey, I can do this. I can take over this. And, of course, they have different plans, but he's going to... and then... so he's working the angles, and he's ambitious, and he wants more, and you can see that right off the bat. And I like how they presented it all. I thought it was great.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like anyone really. I mean, I think Sophia suspects him, or she, but I think most people don't really take him seriously enough to suspect there's any kind of foul play or he's the one behind it yet. Anyway, but I think Sophia. She still rides that line of, is she crazy or is she not? So you don't know whether or not anyone else takes her seriously because she is a little nutty. So she's lost some marbles there. So it's a funny, because she does suspect him that something's happening, but you never know whether to take her seriously or not if you're on the outside.
Yeah. And they did mention real quick that she just got back from Arkham Asylum. The nuttiness factor is definitely going to be in the equation.
Yeah. So the shout out to our friend Carl on the forum. He did point out one Easter egg that I didn't pick up that he mentions when Batman meets Jason Todd, who becomes the second Boy Wonder. He was trying to steal hubcaps from the Batmobile in the Penguin episode 1. Penguin interrupts the group of youths doing the same to his vehicle and proceeds to kind of take him under his wing. So that's where he gets Victor right after he murders Falcone. So he takes him under and he's going to kill Victor, or at least it seems like he's going to kill him, but he decides to spare him. Backing up just a little bit, were you surprised when he shoots Falcone that he kills his son so quickly?
Yeah, so that's the beginning of his we see his he does have a temper, the Penguin, and of course that's in one way it causes him trouble by shooting the guy he's trying to suck up to and trying to get more responsibility from, right? On the other hand, it's also could be the opening he needs to get more power that he wants. So he's he's skirting that line of playing it off the cuff, so to speak, and thinking on his feet and trying to work with the situation at hand. And so that was it was funny because I wasn't like completely surprised by his action there, but I also, like, if you would have asked me beforehand, is he going to shoot that guy, and I wouldn't have known, I didn't know that was going to happen at all. But when he did, I was like, okay, there's the Penguin temper that we know about. That's definitely fitting with his character. So it was an exciting part of the show, but it wasn't surprising that he shot him because we have clues to the Penguin. We have prior knowledge going into the show that the Penguin's not exactly all up there.
Yeah. It did catch me by surprise because I thought we would have more of a power struggle there. I didn't think it'd be so abrupt, which I liked because you think he's going to kind of befriend him and work his way into his bubble and then kind of vie for power there. But like you said, I think his temper and the unpredictability of the Penguin, I think that kind of suits the character and the story very well.
Yeah, my wife was upset because the guy playing the Falcone kid was the guy who played the husband in Mrs. Maisel, this TV on Prime. So she liked him, so she was upset he died.
That was quick. Yeah.
But
maybe we'll get flashbacks.
Maybe, yeah. But then we come to the kid. The kid stealing his hubcaps and what have you. And now was he must have been just scaring them when shooting at them.
Yeah,
because I don't think he's that bad of a shot.
He might be.
Maybe, who knows?
Well, I guess point blank range is not too bad of a shot, but
yeah. But I love the fact that he shot his own car. He ended up putting a bullet hole in his own car because that kind of represents just shooting yourself in the foot a little bit, and like you were saying with the whole scene, I thought the scene with the kid and the way he talked to the kid and the way the kid responded and the way he kind of like he let up a little bit as soon as he saw that kid had a speech impediment. He kind of backed off just that little bit in order to take that kid under his wing. And I thought that was beautifully done because he's got the obvious handicap and he's got the waddle, which I just thought Colin Farrell just knocked it out of the park with the whole character, the whole setup, the voice, everything. If you ever heard Colin Farrell speak, his voice does not sound like that.
No, not at all.
And so I thought he just really grasped this role. Like he's in it. He's in this role completely. I was just taken completely by surprise by how well he's pulling this off. And I love those little subtleties where he shows that little bit, that slight bit of compassion for somebody else who has a handicap. And I was just like, that is perfect. And I just love that whole scene. Great stuff.
It's a great point. I think with the Penguin in it, with the Penguin especially because of he's kind of, if you look at the Penguin without much context, he is kind of a goofy villain. He can come off as a little silly. So I think playing it seriously, but still having so I think you could take it too far and make it kind of a joke if you wanted to take that approach with a character like the Penguin. So I do like they're taking it more seriously and I don't want to say humanizing him, but making him relatable in some ways because he's not this kingpin yet. So he's still disrespected and underestimated. So I'm sure by the end we'll feel differently about him, but it does give us a way to kind of attach ourselves to the character without being a complete scumbag right out of the gate.
Right. Yeah. And the way they portrayed his handicap with the steel, he had these like steel, I don't know, kind of like a
leg
brace,
braces.
a brace on his leg there. And the way that he was overcoming that, even though he was overcoming doing evil stuff like carrying a dead body around, but
but it did
make the viewer feel a bit of sympathy for him, and that he's dealing with he's living in this world where showing weakness could be fatal, and so he has to overcome that in the world he's in. And it's just I thought it was just so well done.
Yeah, that's a great point about him sparing Victor and why he did, because I did wonder why, but it doesn't make sense about the speech impediment or how he was stuttering, and so he decided to spare him. I thought he would kill him by the end. I thought he was going to kill him before the end of the episode. I'm glad he didn't, but I thought he was going to.
And I think the kid had something to prove, and I think he did. I think he proved himself to the Penguin. What was it? At one point, he came through with a car or something. I forget.
He drove the car into the house with the body or with the message on the trunk and the body, or the body in the back with the finger cut off with the ring gone.
Yes, right. Yeah. So the kid did his job, and he proved himself, and he had his own issues and his own things to prove, and I think that helped reaffirm the fact that the Penguin might want to keep this kid around. He could be useful, and so
it's so on one hand, I do like that he took Victor under his wing, and he's kind of mentoring him, I guess you can say. But by the end, this won't end well for Victor, right? He's going to become another kingpin, mobster type, ruthless killer, I'm guessing, or he'll end up getting killed. So is it better for Victor to have been killed now than to wait till later? I don't know, but I guess that's kind of what makes these types of stories interesting, is to see the transition from just a kid who was trying to steal a few tires to, kind of making his way up I'm guessing, up the ladder in the underworld and becoming something totally different. So that journey, I think, is going to be very interesting.
Yeah, it is, because ultimately you're actually rooting for this kid to make it in the world of crime and be a professional criminal. And that's kind of there's a certain kind of cognitive dissonance, I guess, or whatever you want, when you look at it that way, because they're all criminals. They're all bad people. It's just like in The Sopranos. You're rooting for Tony half the time, and he's a bad guy.
He is,
and they're definitely playing on that similar type of theme here. That similar type of a look at the human side of the criminal, and garnering sympathy for him through the use of the storytelling that they're having, and it's and they're doing a great job of it, because you want these people to succeed, even though when you separate yourself from it, you're like, wait a minute, why do we want these criminals to succeed?
It's funny how you, even watching The Sopranos, you root for Tony Soprano, knowing the awful things he's done and continues to do, and we watch him do these awful things, but you still feel his attachment to him and his family. So it's interesting. It's a mark of great storytelling when it can pull you in like that and make you forget who is good and who's bad.
Yeah. And what'd you think about the whole the bit with the ring? How he stole the ring off the...
Very smart and very timely. So you wonder. Okay, so he's trying to kind of create his own empire, trying to influence different sides, but he's burned bridges, seems like, in the past, and people don't trust him now. So bringing the ring was a nice touch to show that he's capable and he has something to bring to the table, and that he's taking care of one of his other problems. So you wonder is he playing? Is he genuinely trying to gain favor, or is he trying to manipulate things to eventually take over himself?
It's a good question. Because I think you could be like, you're kind of drawn to Sophia as a character, because she's an underdog within her own family. But then you see Oswald, the Penguin, going to the opposition in jail and trying to strike a deal with him, which played by Clancy Brown. I love that little cameo by that actor. He's a cool actor. Yes. and so you see a little bit of duplicity right there with the Penguin, trying to play both sides, and you wonder if that's gonna be another way of shooting yourself in the foot, because if he gets caught playing both sides, it's not gonna go well. Did now I don't remember, did he accept the ring or did he refuse it?
Well, I think he refused the offer, so Salvatore refused the offer.
Right. Okay.
Told him to buzz off. I don't trust you. And he told him to leave, but Oswald left the ring as a sign, and he just kind of said, I'm of value, basically, and he walked away. So there's no, I don't remember an agreement between the two, but I think he was sending a message that he can be of use to Salvatore. But yeah, I think that is a little dangerous to show up at the prison knowing that word can get out that you were visiting the opposition when you're trying to stay alive with the Falcone family. So we'll see how that works out for him.
Yeah. And now wasn't there a point where Sophia saw the ring, or was that?
I think when the body was in the trunk, when she found the body in the trunk and the finger was gone, that's the finger that he had the ring on. So she knew that someone had taken it. And when it said payback on the trunk, that kind of pointed towards Salvatore's family, to who murdered her brother.
That's right. That's right. Okay.
So it was a great way to send. It killed a few birds with one stone, because it implicated the other family in killing the Falcone son, and it also allowed him to take the ring and use it as leverage and to kind of prove himself. So he's turning people against each other.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. It was pretty brilliant. I liked how that all went down. And I love the actress who's playing Sophia. I've seen her in another HBO show, and she was great there.
Kristen Milotti.
Yeah.
She was really good.
Yeah, and I love that line. What she say? Daddy is dead. We are untamed. Is that what she said? And I'm like, okay, yeah, you're all a little crazy. So.
Yeah. And this did feel like it felt like a long episode, but not in a bad way, if that makes sense. It felt like it was longer than an hour with how much information was in it. So it felt like a mini movie. Yeah,
it was long in the sense that it gave you a bunch of information. Mm-hmm. Like there was a lot of stuff happening, a lot of info, but it wasn't ever bogged down with exposition or anything like that. They weren't info dumping us. It was definitely all part of the story, and it was one thing, one scene after the next that just gave us a lot of info about the setting, the players, the who was involved, and his ambitions, the character ambitions, character insights, even the excellent scenes with his mother. I thought That was a fantastic, and all the little stuff in the house, in the mother's house, that they was looking at, and all the character insights we were getting by having that kid there, kind of being our eyes learning about him at the same time he's learning about him, and that was just. I thought that was perfectly done because it was just enough to give us all this information about him and her, but it was never bogged down. It kept going. It kept involving us, and I was just like, oh, that's just great. It was really good storytelling.
Yeah, I think that was another reminder of The Sopranos, of that conversation with the mom, because you think back to Tony and his mom.
Yeah.
And I won't spoil it for anyone who hasn't seen it, but there is lots of interaction between Tony and his mother in The Sopranos. I think that was another reminder of kind of the same, a different relationship for sure, but having that connection, and also, like you said, the pictures on the walls and the family history, the picture that was also in Penguin's apartment that Victor saw. So it's giving you lots of, again, humanizing the Penguin, giving him a family, giving him a background, making him seem like more of a monster, like less of a monster and more of a person, and allowing us to get attached to him without, like I said, he's not this complete, unredeemable. He's awful, don't get me wrong, but he's not. I'm guessing where he'll end up at the end will be a lot different than where he is now, but it's allowing us as viewers to become invested in him and to root for him to succeed, even though we probably shouldn't. Well, we definitely shouldn't, but
yeah, no, it's like we were saying earlier. They definitely, the way the storytelling is presented, it draws you in to sympathize with him at various points throughout the whole show, and makes you kind of forget that he's a killer, he's a murderer. Mm-hmm. He's and more. There's more than just murder. It's just but it makes you forget that in those touching moments that draw you into his humanity and what he is looking to do in his relationship with people. He was telling the truth to his mother. His mom's in on it. He's telling her everything, and she's like egging him on. She's like asking him, "Do you want more for yourself, Sonny?"
Yeah.
So, really cool.
Yeah, it was great. That whole scene was really great because he's trying to get her to run and hide, and she's the one who brings him back and says, "No, this is your chance. This is what you've always wanted, and this is your moment." Yep. So I think that was very interesting to see that influence from her, knowing she's in danger.
That's a great theme, really, of the whole show. What you just said, this is your chance. That's a theme for the whole show, because we saw that at the beginning with the power struggle, with the chaos of the death of Carmine Falcone, with the chaos that I think he mentioned it, the Riddler.
Yeah, he does. Yeah,
and I think the Penguin said, "Wow, that guy's a psycho."
Yeah.
Yes. Which I found hilarious, but
yeah, I thought that was great. That's because I think that, like you said, I think that's kind of what we would say if we were there.
Yeah.
So again, it's Penguin's not there just yet, but
yeah. But that theme, that this is the time, this is your chance, this is your opportunity, ran through the whole episode. It was the Penguin's opportunity. It's the opportunity for everybody involved to get a bigger piece of the pie. It's even the opportunity for the kid Victor to get his moment to shine and become a real criminal. But
to stay alive.
To stay alive, though, yeah.
Yeah, I wasn't really sure what to expect from this one, but I was very pleasantly surprised the approach they took. I've been a little bit disinterested in all the superhero stuff. It's just been too much. But I really like this different take on it, and I'm a fan of Matt Reeves, so I'm hoping that with the next Batman movie that Matt Reeves does, which is written, from what I understand, hopefully it'll integrate with that story and be kind of have a payoff of giving us a background of possibly the next villain.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I had absolutely no expectations going into this at all, and I was a little blindsided by how well they pulled it off.
Yeah,
was glad, and I kind of miss that. I kind of like miss not going into shows not knowing much about it.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Because I'm an old guy. I've been around, and so. That's how it used to be back in the 90s or whatever, when you didn't have all this,
trailers
3-minute trailers that told you the whole story, and all this media and advertising and marketing, and that really gives away a lot.
Yeah.
And it gives away a lot without having much substance behind it. When you actually watch the stuff that they're giving away, whereas this, I purposely shut myself off from a lot of social media and stuff like that, anyways. But in advertising, especially, but this one took me by surprise. I was like, "Oh, there's a Penguin show. I'll watch it."
Yeah.
Wow, that was great.
Yeah, I didn't watch any trailers at all. I didn't really know much about it. I just heard. I think people in the forum were talking about how great it was, and it had the same aesthetic as the Batman did, the kind of the same grittiness and kind of boots on the ground kind of feel to it. It didn't feel too super villainy. It felt very grounded and gritty and kind of more of a crime story than a superhero, part of a superhero universe. So I really appreciate that because like I said, I'm just kind of done with all the superhero stuff, but this one feels more like a crime story and less like a comic book villain. So, thus far anyway.
Yeah, we've definitely met, we definitely brought up the similarities to a Sopranos type story. So it's definitely like a mafia, mob crime story. But, just a little sprinkling of Batman and Riddler, that's just like a little icing on the cake for old time superhero fans that we are. That it's like you get sick of the superhero stuff until somebody does it right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's true. We touched on the car a little bit on Penguin's car, but they did make it a point to mention the color a few times, the plum color. Yeah. It's plum, which I thought was a funny line too, but it did remind me a lot of the Joker, the color.
Yeah. Come to think of it, they do have similar color scheme, don't they?
I don't remember the Penguin having purple or plum as his colors. I thought it was more of like a black and white.
Yeah, I thought he used to be like the black and white penguin suit, like like a tux, But there have been times, I think, there have been times in the comics where he did display some purplish colors. Yeah. Even Catwoman, I think, had purple too. Must be a villain thing.
Yeah. The so we can find, but yeah, I think those. I wonder if that's kind of a wink and a nod to some other things coming his way, but that was a great setup though.
Yeah, fantastic setup, and I'm well pleased with it. I was actually bummed there wasn't another episode already, but
yeah,
I can wait.
I do like the drip, talking about back in the old days where you couldn't binge it all. I do like the weekly drop.
Yes,
I do like that.
Absolutely.
I'm not a big fan of the. I mean, it's fine. I'm not anti binging, but it's tough when they drop like an 8-episode series and there's people who watch it in one night. I think having the weekly drop, having a time to kind of reflect and do things like this and talk about it and kind of process it, and it becomes an event every week instead of just here's 8 episodes of The Penguin. Have fun.
Yeah, no, I think there's definitely something to be said for watching something that has a certain level of artistry like this does, and being able to think about it for a while, letting it absorb, letting it sink in, and process it, you know, rather than just binging on to the next show and kind of forgetting the themes and the impact that the first episode might have had. Because as you know, as they do episodes, you would hope that like in The Sopranos, we keep bringing that up, but every episode of that show, it touched on a different thing. It touched on a different theme, and it touched on different topics. And you, if you don't stop and like think about that topic and what they were doing with it, and you just go on to the next episode, you're gonna forget it, and it's not gonna be as relevant, and it's not gonna be as impactful. And I think you're definitely right. There's just something that to me is so much better about a show like this that has all these things going for it, that you can take the time to let it sink in, think about what they were saying, and I think that's gonna make your experience that much better when you go to watch the next one, because you had time to process what they were doing.
Yeah.
And binging doesn't do that for me at all.
Yeah, I think maybe it comes with age too, because I think as you get older, you start to want to savor things more, kind of soak it in and not just rush through things. But yeah, I know some people love binging, and more power to them. But yeah, I think with so much production and energy and money and time and effort that goes into these episodes, it's a little sad when you just kind of rush through them all, and like you said, don't have time to reflect and process things and kind of appreciate every little detail in the episode.
Absolutely.
And you get those water cooler moments, the discussions, just random people with the last episode, or what did you think about that, or it's more of a discussion, it's more of an event, it's more of an impact. I think with something like Game of Thrones wouldn't be what it became. We wouldn't talk about the last season and a half or so, but just in general, wouldn't have become the phenomenon it did if it was a binge model. It became that because it was a weekly event.
Yeah, you're right. Because if you would have had the first 10 episodes of Game of Thrones out all at once, people would have talked about it for a month, and then it would have been yesterday's news.
Yeah.
You know, whereas you have that constant slow burn release week after week. It stays on. It stays in the mind. It stays in the. It stays in the conversation. It stays in the people's everyday lives. It's for the whole time that it's running, and that makes it more of a lasting effect.
Yeah. Good and bad, because we've had another show we talked recently, the True Detective season 4, that was the opposite, but we won't get into that. But yeah, so anything else you can think of for The Penguin?
No, I think we covered it pretty well.
So episode 1's down. I believe there's 8 episodes. What are you hoping to see in season 1? What's there an event or a person or thing? What would you like to see in season 1?
What I like to see in season 1. Yeah, that's tough, because I'm definitely a go along for the ride type of guy, but I hope to see the same quality continue. I imagine by the end of the season, if you want to have a capstone for the season, I guess, I think you would have to see the Penguin probably established as the head of whatever organization he ends up developing, whether it's because I don't think he's going to end up as the head of the Falcone family, crime family. That's doesn't sit with the whole lore or anything like that. But he definitely, I think he's going to end up as the head of his own organization. The recruiting of Victor in the first episode may give us a hint to how he might go about recruiting his posse, his organization, his people, his henchmen. So that shows us he has the capability of reading people and knowing whether they'll work for him. And so I think at the end of the episode, the end of the series, he'll be a force to be reckoned with on his own.
Yeah, I would like to see that too. I'm imagining the end of season 1 will be him having some kind of, or a significant in a power position, whether he had destroyed the other two families or if he's just, doing his own thing. But I would like to see him make a major move and maybe destroy one of the other families, or have the heads of one of the other families killed, or kind of a major power play that is orchestrated and thought out. That it's I would like to see him take that leap to be kind of a running joke to someone who's very completes that in a sophisticated, violent way, I guess you can say. But yeah, we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
Well, cool. So yeah, until next week, where can people find you?
All right. People can find me at the Fantasy Thinker YouTube channel, and they can find me at pagechewing.com on podcasts like Speculative Speculations, and a couple of reviews and blog posts every now and then on the website, and some other stuff too. Some other podcasts
it's
like
hard
this
to remember. It's always nice when the author replies to your review.
Yes, it is.
Yes, that's cool. That's awesome. So until next week, we will talk to everyone very soon.